Hey guys, it's Kyle down here at Lunicycle. Today I'm going to show you how to swap the controller on the Talaria Xxx. You only need a few tools to do this. It's a very simple process. The first thing you want to do is be sure your bike isn't plugged into the charger and be sure the power button is off. The next thing you want to do is use a 3mm to remove the two bolts for this little cover here. I already removed one of them. Now you don't need to fully remove this, you just need to take these two bottom bolts out so this can kind of just drop down. Now there's 4 bolts that mount this to the frame. There's 2 on the other side, which I already removed, and 2 identical bolts on this side. So once you remove these, the controller will just drop down. I am going to go ahead and remove this side plate just so you can see a little better on all the wires and what exactly I'm doing. You don't need to remove this to do the swap, it's just for filming purposes. Alright, now there is no breaker on the Talaria Xxx. Turning off the power button does actually shut off the battery, but if you want to play it safe, you can unplug this orange braided plug right here. This will be sure the battery is off. I know some guys think you need to unplug the battery, but this will do the exact same thing. This goes ahead and shuts the BMS off and kills the power coming to the controller. So the next thing you want to do is go ahead and unplug. Let's see here. You should have 3 little tiny white connectors. These unplug very easily. You do need to, I always just put my fingernail underneath this and then they unplug. And all 3 of these are different connectors, so it won't let you plug these in wrong when you're done. So we got our 3 connectors undone. The next you have 5 big lug connectors. So you got your black one, which is your negative, your red one right here, which is your positive, and then you have your 3 phases. And they're all labeled properly, U, V, and W. So you can go ahead and remove these with a 5. And they are all different lengths for the phase wires, and they all line up kind of perfectly for the lugs that they're supposed to screw into. Alright, so now you've successfully uninstalled your Xxx controller. There's nothing wrong with this controller, so I am just going to go ahead and reinstall this. It is the exact same steps. You do want to just double check that you're connecting all the correct lugs to the corresponding holes. And again, they are all labeled, so the red goes to the plus sign, the black goes to the minus sign. And then you have U, V, and W, which are all labeled properly. So I always just get all these finger tight first, and then go ahead and tighten them down. You don't want to go too tight, but you also don't want to leave these loose. And before you tighten these down, be sure you haven't trapped any of your little insulating covers down here. These do have some little cable guides. Go ahead and be sure they're in the little guide. You can go ahead and tighten this down. Move up the little insulation cover. Alright, we've got all our lugs nice and tight. I'm going to be sure we properly insulate all of these. Alright, next we're going to plug in the 3 white connectors. And again, it won't let you plug these in wrong. So we have our little encoder, and then these 2 COM wires. And then this 4th one is left blank. That one's for programming. Now, because we just moved a bunch of wires around, once you're done here, you do want to be sure all these wires get pushed to that side of the bike. The last thing you want is for any of these to move and make contact with the belt. So once you're ready to button this up, push all the wires in that direction. Now I know I've still left this one unplugged. I'm going to plug this in right before we're done. So be a little patient. You are kind of pushing a bunch of wires around. You just don't want to pinch anything in between the controller and the frame. But everything should go back into place very nicely. I'm going to go ahead and reinstall these 2 side bolts. Now it is best to leave these loose. I like to get all 4 of them in before I tighten them down. You don't need to see me install the ones on the other side. So we'll just go ahead and tighten these down for now. Alright, next you can go ahead and plug back in the BMS wires. This will allow you to turn your bike back on. And I'm going to just go ahead and quickly throw this cover onto place. Now once you've swapped this controller for a new controller, you do need to calibrate it to the motor. It may still spin without calibration, but we do recommend you calibrate this whenever you swap a controller out. And it's going to pair it to the motor. There is one little tip. You do need the kickstand up when you're calibrating it. And it does need to be done within 1 minute of turning on the bike. So I'm going to go ahead and get a shot of how to calibrate this. I do have other videos, but we'll go ahead and calibrate this one again. So power on the bike. On the display, you hold down the top button. Then you want to scroll down to match. It will ask you if you want to execute. You hit the middle button, and then the bike will have the motor spin forward and backwards, just a small amount. And if everything goes as planned, it will say success. You then cycle the power on your bike, and you should be good to go. So that's how you swap the controller out on the Talaria Xxx.